Today, that moment I've been promising you, where the game will finally become strategically and tactically interesting, will actually happen. On Let's Play Ultima 4. Right after I kill this orc. So, today I'm actually going to take care of my first proper dungeon. Possibly two if time permits. The first one I'm going to be doing is the dungeon of Despise, the anti-virtue of compassion. For the most part, the dungeons are generally in the region of the town associated with the virtue they oppose. In this case, Despise is just north of Castle Britannia in the Serpent's Spine. I'm getting there from... Oh, hello, snake. Alright, I allowed that snake to flee, but it still gave me a treasure chest. Okay. I forget what I was saying now. Despise is just north of Castle Britannia in the Serpent's Spine. I'm coming from the Shrine of Justice, so I'm going south to the north edge of the Serpent's Spine. Here to the south there, you'll see the other paths through the mountains that is a bit slow to get through, but you can see on the proper cloth map, too, that there is this bit of mountain that comes up to the north, and the entrance to Despise is right on the other side of that. Hopefully, if you're coming from Lord British's castle, you can figure out the equivalent of that coming from there. I'll have to deal with that orc when I come out, probably, but whatever. Unless I have to deal with it now. I'm just so glad I don't have to shuffle 8 party members on these difficult mountain battle maps. Okay, just in case something goes horribly wrong, I'm gonna save outside here, but this is the entrance to the dungeon Despise. And one day I will hopefully put up my dungeon maps that I've made somewhere. I think they're a bit more useful than a lot of the existing ones online. So, coming into Despise on the first level here, the first thing I want to do is go to the right at this junction, and then right again. There is actually a healing fountain here. If it matters, by the way, apparently you can actually use the healing fountains any number of times if you need to. Which I guess you would if you had multiple party members. Hello, bat. Are you going to attack me? There it is. I don't think I've shown off a bat yet, so... giant bats, have 48 hit points. They give you 4 experience points and deal up to 9 damage. They are non-evil. Treat them accordingly. By just killing them anyway, apparently. To elaborate on what I said before, as far as I can tell, random encounters in the corridors in dungeons, the normal rules of virtue do apply. You cannot flee from the battles, you cannot kill a fleeing, non-evil enemy. In dungeon rooms like this one, however, you can leave the room anytime you want. You don't necessarily have to kill every enemy on the map, and in some dungeon rooms, you won't have to. Dungeon rooms, by the way, are where combat gets a little more tactically interesting. Some doors simply let you into one. And unlike in random encounters, the locations and number of enemies in the dungeon rooms is completely pre-scripted. Meaning that it actually becomes a little bit more challenging to do these things as a solo party member. That said, if you had multiple party members, you'd still have to awkwardly shuffle around between their turns, and it would be quite a pain anyway, and probably wouldn't be worth having the additional people to deal with the monsters. Anyway, going to wander on over here and get these chests. Whoa. Well, make sure you pay attention, because sometimes when you get close to chests, they will start doing that, because they are actually mimics. And if you get close enough, they will start shooting poison at you, which nobody wants. Surprisingly, it didn't do it there. So what I'm going to try to do is get into melee range with the mimics as quickly as I can, so they're not able to use their ranged poison attacks on me, so I don't have to cure poison. But I get poisoned anyway. Come on. There we go. Mimics, for what it's worth, they have 192 hit points. They award 13 experience points, obviously. They can deal up to 23 damage. They are immobile, and they have, as mentioned, ranged poison attacks. And that one down there is also a mimic. Let's take care of it. Yay! That's the last one. You can now loot the chests in the dungeon room as you normally would with the get command. Obviously, there is no penalty for stealing money from a dungeon, because orcs and rats don't deserve to have property rights. Anyway, having gotten out of that room, I come through to the other side of the corridor. Just take my word for it, I'm not going to use a gem just for that. So, some but not all doors in dungeons lead you into rooms. This one does not. It just takes you through here and around this way. And level 2 is where we are now. Let me move my map. So what happens on level 2? Pretty straightforward. There is a room in here. Oh, this one already. I read my map backwards. So, you'll see there are a bunch of headless there, also 2 beholders, I mean gazers. What I want to do is avoid letting all of them line up on the bridge and have line of sight on me. Because gazers, I'll pause that for a second while I get this out. Gazers have 240 hit points, they award 16 experience points, they deal 24 damage, and most importantly, they have a ranged sleep attack. And as a solo party member, sleep is pretty much the worst thing that can happen to you. So what you don't want to happen is a situation where both gazers line up on the bridge while you're standing opposite it. But there are headlesses between you, so you can't actually target them directly. And they are just shooting 2 sleep fields every round at you. And it is very easy to get stun-locked that way. Don't sleep me, bro. As with the mimics, by getting in melee range with them, you increase the chance that they will use their melee attack instead of putting you to sleep like that. Happily, I got lucky, and I woke up pretty quick there. Alright, let's go get that treasure and move on. Wait, what? I'm trapped here. That is another thing that can happen in dungeon rooms. Certain tiles have triggers that will change other tiles in the room. In this case, it replaced those 2 middle tiles of the bridge with water tiles, meaning there is no way to get out. The same thing would happen on this chest, by the way, just so you know. But if I just step there, I'm not actually trapped. It immediately opens the bridge again, so I can leave as normal. And it doesn't matter which way you leave this room, so just go either way. They both lead to the same place. And of course, I walk out right into a bat. And a ghost. I have not yet encountered a ghost. Yeah, 80 hit points, 6 experience points, 14 damage. They are both undead and incorporeal. Incorporeal meaning simply that they can move through solid tiles as if they weren't there. Which is a bit of a pain when you're trying to chase one down sometimes. Apparently they can still carry treasure, though. But the direction you exit a dungeon room does matter. All 4 directions correspond to 4 different corridors in the 3D dungeon view. Now, this is another room, of course. All it has in it is seahorses, which I think I've fought before, right? Yeah, I fought seahorses. I don't think there's anything too special to do here. Just try to limit their access to ranged attacks as much as you can. And as noted, even though they are good creatures who are fleeing, I don't think you're penalized for killing them here. Alright, so we want to leave to the west here, right? Yes. And then just follow this corridor straight west until we get to the next ladder. Done. Alright, level 3. What do we do here? So there's a poison field there. There's not too much you can do about it. But we want to go straight through that. There are also ladders to the left and right, but they don't really lead anywhere we care about. They take you down to the bottom of the dungeon eventually, where there is an orb and access to the altar room, but we're not going to the altar room at this time. There's no reason to. Yay, I got through there not poisoned. So just go straight through on down to level 4. And once we get to level 4... Okay, this room, I want to mix an energy field before I enter. That is spell E. It requires reagents A, D, and F. Sulphurous Ash, Spider Silk, and Black Pearl. A, D, F. Done. Because we come in here, and we meet a horde of gremlins. So because there is really no mass damage spell in this game, except for one that is way too powerful for this situation, I'm just going to hole up in a corner here, cast an energy field incorrectly. Let's try that again, just to demonstrate it properly. Mix energy field, A, D, F, done. That is an unfortunate effect of the game's interface. Sometimes it's possible to just waste a spell like that. Cast, energy field. We need to choose the type. Non-intuitively, we want a solid field, which is lightning, or L, and we want it to the east there. And that will bottleneck this horde of gremlins, so only one of them is attacking me at a time. Now, gremlins, I have not yet encountered. They have 48 hit points, they give you 4 experience points, they inflict up to 9 damage. Apart from their numbers, they are relatively inconsequential, except that they also have a chance of stealing food from you when they hit you. Much like the rogues on the overworld can steal gold from you. When you hear that little whip sound, whip, I can't do it right now, but that sound, that means they made an attempt to steal food. My food didn't actually go down, so it's not always successful, and I think at worst they only steal 1 or 2 at a time. there you saw my food actually go down by 1. Now, because I am a solo party member, I'm not that concerned about food. If you were actually trying to come down here feeding 8 party members and you were running low on food, though, and you had gremlins trying to steal from 8 different party members every round, that could be pretty devastating to your survival in a dungeon. But slowly, we are going to whittle away at these gremlins and eventually move on. Alright, done. Now, as tempting as it might be, do not just take the obvious exit to the south. That will lead you to a single treasure chest, which... its goal, which is terrible, but then you have to go back into this room, and that entire horde of gremlins will respawn again. Instead, there are actually secret exits on both sides of the room. There's one, and the other one is up here. Note, by the way, the gremlin didn't trigger those things. Only your own party members can do so. So I'm going to exit the room to the east here. Now, if you go left coming out of there... Troll! I already made that joke, never mind. Okay, so if you go through here, there is another one of these magic orbs, which I will actually demonstrate for the sake of completeness, even though I don't really care about the stats. But you search, you find a ball, you select a party member to touch it, that horrible noise happens, and your dexterity goes up by 5. So it is something you could do if you really wanted to, but... And again, because this is Despise, which opposes Compassion, which touches only the single principle of truth, that only deals 200 damage, which is generally survivable, and only affects 1 attribute. So it's not the worst idea to do it in passing if you happen to be in the area. Also, you can do it however many times you want, as long as you have hit points, if you really wanted to. Now, I think here, this ladder goes both up and down, and I would like to go up this one, back to level 3, because there are a bunch of chests up here. Let's see, how does this work? Okay, there was another direction where there was a secret door, but... yeah. This is actually pretty symmetrical, the whole floor is. So instead of going through the secret door, I'll just go around the obvious way. It's just one big loop with treasure chests in each corner. If I only get 5 at a time, it's probably not worth the trouble. But... okay, that happens to be a slime, which I haven't seen yet. Where'd it go? No, not use. You don't use torches, you ignite them. Sometimes the wandering enemies in dungeons seem to just randomly disappear on me. Slimes. They have 48 hit points, 4 experience points, deal 9 damage. And when you kill them... or I think just when you injure them... they're not going to do it for me, are they? Okay. When you injure a slime, I think it's supposed to have a chance of spawning another slime adjacent to it. Basically, they divide when they receive damage. Anyway, that's that whole area of level 3, so I'm going to go on back down to level 5. And we are in this enclosed area. Let me see. Is there any reason to continue down all the way? Yes, there is. I'm just going to descend straight to level 6 first of all. So, first thing, I want to go either north or west. They both just connect back. Because over in this corner, there's another healing fountain. If I didn't mention it before, by the way, which I don't think I did, not all of the fountains in dungeons are actually healing fountains. Some of them will cure poison, some of them will poison you, some of them will just inflict damage, some of them will do nothing. So, don't just randomly drink from fountains unless you have verified somehow that they are healing or otherwise harmless. But anyway, coming either south or east from that ladder, you go through this long loop of corridors. This door here, don't bother with that. It does lead you into a dungeon room. There's a bunch of trolls and a couple of chests in there. It's really not worth it. So try to keep track of which door leads into a room and which door leads into another corridor. In this case, this is the way I came from. Okay, I didn't go south yet. There are a few more chests to the south. I don't know whether these chests are actually going to matter or not, but there is another way of making all the money you could possibly desire later in the game, and I may get to that point before I actually get enough money to buy. Do I want to fight that Reaper? Let's do it for demonstration purposes. A Reaper. We saw one in Lord British's dungeon earlier, but didn't actually fight it. Okay, it has 255 hit points. It awards 16 experience points. It has a sleep attack. And it can deal up to 24 damage. It is also immobile, and it can use any type of ranged attack. So it has a lot of hit points and a lot of attacks, but I think the fact that it doesn't move means that... Good, it didn't poison me. Other than poisoning me like that, there's not a whole lot it can really do to me, even if it does succeed in putting me to sleep. Fortunately, it went quite smoothly. Now, a single Reaper in a dungeon room where there are a bunch of mooks surrounding it to beat on you while it puts you to sleep is much more dangerous. Okay, I'm back up on level 5 now in this enclosed area. As noted, I can turn in any direction and there's no apparent exit, but going north, there is actually a secret passage. Now, this is probably where the Dungeon of Despise gets its name, because once you get through here, you will probably despise it. So, you step north, there are winds that put out your torch. You could reignite it if you really wanted to, but the winds happen again. And that keeps happening for 4 steps. And then you take one more step, and I'll tell you right now, you step right into a poison field. Before you step into that poison field, however, make sure that you mix a Dispel spell, which is ACF, because we will need that imminently. So I stepped forward, right? Is there something... See if I can ignite really quick and see what's there. Am I in the poison field already? Did I miscount steps? Okay. Never mind then. Now, ideally, before you step into the poison field, you'll have that spell ready, so you... Because if you try to go west, you're also blocked. Because there is actually a lightning force field there. Not mix. Cast. Dispel. and you should now be able to step forward. Now, after all that mess is done, you go on into this corridor, and rocks fall, everybody dies. And you turn again, and rocks fall, everybody dies again. That, happily, is the last of that gauntlet. So you do come down here, and there are a number of doors here. You want to go in the middle door here. Those other two doors lead into rooms that have a couple of demons and a Balron in them, and a little bit of treasure, but they are really not worth it. Don't bother. Go straight into this room in the middle. This takes you where you want to go. So, this is Sea Serpents. As with the Seahorses earlier, just try to prevent them from lining up a bunch of ranged attacks on you. Eventually, we're going to deal with all of these. Fortunately, I've gained so many levels from doing all the fetch quests that I have plenty of hit points to survive this onslaught. Having those two healing fountains on the way helps a lot. Now, do not exit to either the west or the east. That will just take you into those aforementioned rooms with demons and Balrons. What you actually want to do is look very closely and see there is a secret door in the wall here. Doing that in itself doesn't do anything. You can't actually go into empty space there. But by stepping there, you reveal another secret door down in this corridor. You step there, and that actually creates the bridge to exit to the north. Having done that, you finally get to the altar on level 5, where you search and find the yellow stone. Done. I am just going to mix my exit spell, ADE, and get out of here the easy way. Note, by the way, that this means that not all of the altars, and I don't know if any of them, are actually on the bottom floor of the dungeon. You don't have to go all the way to the bottom of the dungeon to find the altar, generally. If you are trying to get to the dungeon altar rooms to make connections between dungeons or find the 3-part key, you would have to go all the way to the bottom of the dungeon. Those are always on the bottom floor. But for right now, I'm not. So, let's see. That's all I'm going to do for right now. Probably I'm going... Actually, as long as I'm here, I think I have a little bit of extra length once I edit out all the battles. I will make the walk back to Lord Bridges' castle from here, just so you can see where this is relative to that, since I didn't come that way initially. I'll just go straight through here. That went smoother than it could have. So there's this pass here, and it usually seems to be full of monsters that swarm you while you're struggling through the rough terrain. I would not recommend coming through the Serpent Spine this way if you can avoid it. But that pass is basically due north of Lord Bridges' castle. Which is right here. So, I'm just going to save here, heal up between episodes, and then move on to another dungeon next time. Thank you for watching, and good night.